Hi everyone, my name is Shantasia. Welcome to my channel. So this tag is the My Writing Process tag by the Bookish Pen Babe, and I will leave a link to her video. This is her original tag, so go check it out. She did an excellent job on her video, and I really enjoyed the questions. So let's hop right in. The first question is, what genres do you write? I actually write speculative, Christian, science fiction, dystopian. Kind of a long word, but that's the best that I can go for as far as my description right now. I'm sure that will narrow down. As you've seen in my previous videos, I actually have a concise topic or type of novel now, whereas when I first started, I really didn't know what we would classify it as. So that is improvement in itself. And number two, what setting gets you the most productive? The setting that gets me the most productive is pretty much anywhere that I'm comfortable, that's clutter-free, so I can't fiddle with things or try to clean or do anything like that. And that it's like a calm atmosphere, so that I don't feel like I'm being watched or pressured or rushed or anything like that. So pretty much anywhere, as long as I have my music, I'm usually happy. Number three, if you have multiple story ideas, how do you go about picking which one to start on first? Usually I will pick the one that I'm feeling the most passionate about at the time, something that is igniting my interest, my curiosity. Usually a really good story idea won't let me go until I've actually sat down and started working on it. And then in the fleshing out process, I'll either gain interest or lose interest depending on what is going on in the story ideas. A lot of times my stories will sit on the back burner for quite a while, so there's always a bunch of stories that are in some sort of flow or some state of being that isn't quite finished but is in a process of creating. But I'm usually writing something that I've been working on for a while, at least a year or more, as far as developing a story, and then I just keep working on it and keep falling in love with it. Number four, do you outline? I've talked about this before. I am a planner, so I definitely outline. I outline probably a little bit too much. It is one of my favorite things in the world, is the beginning of the story when it's all fresh and new and all these crazy ideas are coming up in your head. So I do spend probably a lot more time in the developmental process than I should, but at the same time it is my creative process, so I just enjoy it and let it be what it is. But I do outline. I usually use a format that is set by James V. Smith Jr. in his You Can Write a Novel book that came out probably in the late 90s, early 2000s. And I will leave a link below to the Amazon page for that book so you can check it out as well. Number five, do you start your first draft with pen and paper, typewriter, or computer? I start my first draft with the computer. No real reason other than it's faster, and then I like for it to be all there and all saved in one place so I don't have to be hunting for things later on. Number six, what do you do to get through writer's block? This is something that I haven't done very well in the past. Usually when I get writer's block, I'm coming up against something for myself in my past, and it's coming out in an abstract way within the story. And the scene will actually scare me, or that element of the story will scare me to the point where I can't work on the story anymore. And one of the things that I have been doing over the last few months is realizing, number one, that that was happening. Because before I never thought that that was what was wrong. I thought it was just because I was feeling worried about the work not being accepted, or I was hearing the things in my head that other people had said that were very negative about my writing. But when I really was looking at it very reflectively in my journaling, I realized that it was really more about being scared of what was coming out of me and being afraid of what it meant and what it could mean for myself. So lately I've been doing journaling, kind of stepping away from the story for a little while, but not for months or years like I have in the past. And so far it's been working pretty well. Number seven, do you format your project from the beginning or worry about it later? Currently, I am going to be worrying about it later. I did try to learn some formatting skills, and I'll leave the link to the videos that I was watching. They're very good videos and very descriptive, but I do not have the programs that I need in order to do it the way that Derek explains it. So I just kind of gave up. I did want to format as I go along because I know it will be easier when it comes to the final editing process and getting ready to publish. It'll be one less step that will already have been taken care of. But I'm going to focus on doing that in my next novel and not so much on this one. Number 8, do you edit as you go or when you're finished with the first draft? I edit as I go, usually because I can't help myself and I can't resist it. I don't do huge edits. Usually it'll just be, if there's a scene that I know is going to need to be moved, I will take it and move it and then fix it and edit the areas so that it blends back into the story. But usually it's just going to be things like punctuation, spelling, and minor grammar errors. For the grammar errors, I have a hard time distinguishing them when I am writing or when I'm reading them. So I have been using an app that I downloaded to my computer that actually reads it like an audiobook, and I have been doing a lot of editing with that. Plus, it's very fun and very inspiring to hear it read back at you because it actually feels like a real story. And then when it ends, I'm like, oh my word, I have to go write some more because I was just so into it that I forgot it was mine even. Number 9, after finishing your drafts or your manuscript, how long do you give it a break before you start going back over it, or do you give it a break at all? I am planning on giving it a break about probably a month or 2. Generally, when I do NaNoWriMo, I give myself December and probably a week or 2 of January to take a break before I go back to it. And that's been working really well for me, even with just the 50,000 rough draft. So I think I will continue to implement that as I go forward into more in-depth editing and writing processes that I'll be experiencing in the future. Number 10, is there something that you prefer to do to get you through writing? Playing music, playing the TV, having your favorite drink or food? I usually play music. All of my stories are either born from a song that I've heard, or they are developed and born along with songs that I turn into a playlist. And if you would like to see my playlist, give a shout out down below. I would love to share them with you. I'm actually thinking about starting music playlists on this channel just to show everybody what it is that I am writing with. I'm also on Spotify. You can check that link out below, but those playlists really aren't as inclusive as they could be. So just let me know if that'd be something you would be interested in. Right now, I am working on The Children of Cashette, and mostly I have, I think, like Within Temptation and Evanescence and a few other random groups on there. I also like to listen to instrumental music, so like David Arkenstone and David Lanz. Those guys really get me inspired. And then like my guilty writing pleasure is probably the Replacement Killers soundtrack, the Ever After soundtrack, and Yanni, to be honest. Like, I love Yanni. I know it's weird. I know people are like, ah, ha, ha, you like Yanni, but I don't really care. I think he's amazing. Number 11, do you schedule your writing sessions? I do not schedule my writing sessions. I probably should. I have been thinking about becoming more structured within my writing, but I don't do it. Well, I don't really know why. I just never do really well with my creativity when I set too many goals on myself. So I'm usually like, oh, well, I'm going to be home alone today, so I'm going to work on this. Oh, I'm going to have some quiet time in the evening, so I'm going to work on my story for a while today. It's more kind of what I do, just because I feel like if I set too strict guidelines of what I want to do, then I almost feel like a failure when I don't do them, and I kind of get stubborn and don't want to do them at all. Number 12, do you have word count or chapter goals for your writing sessions? For the most part, I do about 1,000 words per writing session. Sometimes I'll go over into the 2,000 or 3,000 word range, but not very often. And I just feel like it's, again, that rules thing. I did do word count goals previously, and it really backfired because I ended up throwing out the majority of the manuscript, and then I couldn't even look at it for like 6 months because I was just so frustrated. And every time that I thought about it, I would just remember having to delete all those words and having all that stuff in there that was worthless. I do work a little bit harder on word count goals for NaNoWriMo, but I find that just having that month period to really push myself is really a good thing. But then I know I have a light at the end of the tunnel when December runs around, and I won't have to worry about writing for a little bit. So it's kind of like, I guess I reward myself a little bit with not having to write after I've pushed myself for a month. But for the most part, I do not. I just avoid them because I just feel like they aren't something that really helps me. So I just keep them out of my writing practice. Number 13, are there any quirky things you do to make your projects more fun? I think the most quirky thing I do is probably my planning. And my word Bible, I don't ignore it at all throughout the whole process. If there's a new thing that I've come across that I feel like should be in there, I will work on it and make it even better. I decorate it, I put washi tape on it, I make it look pretty and fun. Just because I feel like if I enjoy the series Bible, that I'm going to enjoy using it, and it really is a great tool. So that would be my biggest quirk, is that I just have this crazy attachment to my series Bible. Number 14, do you work on multiple projects at one time? I usually do. I don't do it on purpose, but usually there is 2 or 3 projects that I'm working on at the same time. Currently I am working on the first book of the series, The Children of Cachette. And I am also working on a world building workbook that I'm hoping to have on my website soon. Number 15, how often do you research what you're writing? I probably do a little bit of research at the beginning, but it's like preliminary research. So I'm looking at like science of things that I know are going to show up in my book, or I'm looking at character arcs, or researching whether or not the storyline that I have is fairly original or if it's something that has been done to death, those types of things. But any type of research that I need to do while I'm writing my story, I will just go and do that really quick. Like maybe a quick 20-minute bit of research so that I just have enough to put something in the scene so I'm not forgetting what I wanted, but not so crazily in depth that I get distracted, because I would tend to get distracted. The reason I don't do my research as a part of my creating phase at the beginning of the novel is because I already have a hard time pulling back and not being so wrapped up in that process of creating characters and worlds and all those things, because I could honestly plan a book for 10 years, never write a word, and be completely thrilled. So I really have to put a cap on myself, and I feel like if I allowed myself to do the research at the beginning, I would never end. And most times I wouldn't use any of that research anyway. So I just kind of keep it simple, kind of keep it to a minimum. If there's anything that needs to be fixed later on, I can fix that in the editing process and refine my research later. Number 16, how do you organize your projects? Each of my projects has its own file folder. I call it my writer's notebook. And inside that writer's notebook folder, there is a folder for each project that I'm either researching or thinking about, or that I'm currently working on or have worked on. And that folder will have everything in it that is needed to know for the story. That way it's all in one place and it doesn't get lost. I also like doing this method because a lot of the projects that I have are like an idea in my head, and I know I'm going to work on it later and I don't want to forget it. But I want to organize it now and not have to worry about organizing it later when it's maybe going to be a mess or whatever. So I will have like a Word document or some document in there that I will just write any kind of random thoughts that come across my mind. If I'm working on other things, I have a lot of times with, what are they called, plot bunnies. Like they come and attack you while you're trying to work on something else. And the way that I deal with those is I just put them in their folder. I put enough detail in there so that it will trigger what I was thinking of at the time, but not so detailed that it's going to distract me from whatever I'm working on. And then I just move back into my work in progress and get on with my life. Number 17, do you reward or punish yourself for achieving or missing out on your writing goals? Based on my answers before, I'm sure you know that I do not do either. Punishment doesn't work for me. Reward system really doesn't work for me either, because a lot of times it's things that I'm going to do anyway, so why would I reward myself? I really don't have different things that I like to do. So I would be like, oh yeah, if I finish 5,000 words today, I'm going to go take myself out to the new Star Wars movie. I'm going to go to the new Star Wars movie anyway, and I'm probably going to go like 6 times. So there really is no point in doing that. So pretty much, no. Just, no, I don't do negative things. I don't do positive things. I just like to write, so I just do it. And if I get it done, I get it done. If I don't, I just try again tomorrow. Number 18. Are there any works similar to your projects that you look for and use for inspiration and or comparison? There are a lot of different books and movies, I guess, that I use for inspiration. Right now, at the top of my head, I think of the League series by Sherilyn Kenyon, Cat Scratch Fever and Cataract by Tara K. Harper. I think of Francine Rivers' Redeeming Love, because she really changed the way that I viewed Christian romance and the way that the story could be told. Oh, those 3 per books probably. And then for like inspirational movies, I'll play like The Chronicles of Riddick, Firefly, Dollhouse, I don't know, anything Joss Whedon, anything that just makes me excited, I guess. But when I think of this current project, it definitely is The Chronicles of Riddick, Firefly, those kinds of movies that, I don't know, they just keep the juice flowing and all the dialogue and the banter. It really helps me to have movies playing in the background because it helps me with my dialogue. I am not good at dialogue at all. Number 19. How early do you wait to start looking for and hiring editors? I think at this point I'm thinking about 2 months before I start my beta reader process. By then I will need to know, because from what I'm understanding from all the other author tubers out there, that it is hard to get in to a good editor, and you have to schedule it and be ready when they are ready. So I probably would get that started, like I said, maybe 2 months before I'm expecting to open up to beta readers, and then see how it goes. I may be right, I may be wrong, and that may change, because I'm sure as I get closer to that phase, that will be the thing that I'm pinpointing my attention on. So I'll probably learn more and just refine what I'm planning on doing from there. Number 20, if you've finished a first draft or manuscript, tell us how you felt afterwards. If you're not through the first draft yet, tell us how you're feeling at the moment. At the moment, I am feeling pretty good. I know that I've been talking about a lot of changes and a change in authorship in my current work in progress, but I'm feeling pretty good about it. I can't say that I've really been working that hard on it. I have been working on my world building workbook, which was my Camp NaNoWriMo project. We'll just see where it goes. I'm excited about it. It's nice to take a little bit of a break. I'm working on my series Bible for the Children of Cashette, just kind of getting myself reacquainted with it and determining what needs to be changed, what needs to be taken out, and all that other good stuff that comes with having a split in a co-author partnership. So that is all for me. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know I enjoyed filming it for the 4th time. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell so that you don't miss out on anything that is coming up for this channel. I have a lot of things coming up that I'm very excited to share with you, and I don't want you to miss out on anything. As always, all of my social media accounts are linked below. Be sure to check me out on Instagram. That is where I am the most. I would love to hear from you. I'll see you next time.